The other more surprising thing on the leaderboard was the performance of Emily Weatherman. Not a name that you probably heard before.
Sure
if you did, the only time you would have was Texas State's when she came in 8th. But I hadn't heard her name before. That's her only finish inside the top 20 before this, was Texas State's in 8th. She has been touring this year. Just has been kind of all over the place. Just not really been consistently towards the top, but she looked very solid out there. Her putt looked very good. She didn't really seem to get too nervy. I think she had Robert Burridge on the bag, funny enough, which that might have helped her. But she's been touring, so I don't think that she needed to adapt the tour. But what is unfortunate is she had one of the closest OB calls on 18 that ended up, we didn't know this at the time it was made, but it ended up keeping her out of the playoff. Had it went her way, she would have been in this playoff. We only had one camera angle.
Wasn't good.
You don't know, because we only had it from down the line to the side. But it was one of the closest I've ever seen, because obviously the line is OB
all over it,
and it was all the way across the line, touching the very end of the line. So you just couldn't quite tell, does the lip come over by even a millimeter to make her inbounds?
The problem with this one is obviously since we weren't there, it can't you'd have to get on top of this thing to have to be able to make claims about it. So really the conversation only can be about what surrounds this circumstance. And we know this, paint is a terrible marker of out of bounds, right? This is why it's a bad marker of out of bounds, because you can have stuff like this happen when you've got blades of grass going every which way, and it's do I see one white blade of grass on this side of the disc or not? It's kind of crazy. And then number 2, the idea of self-officiating. I think this was an interesting one because obviously she was on chase card, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, the people that are playing with her, now they're all competing for cash, and that's important, but it's not like she was on lead card where it was, they're looking very much directly at her as the competition to win at that point. But, it seems like all the competitors go up and very quickly call it out of bounds. It didn't seem...
They thought about it for...
It was a little bit.
But we were also watching it cut together where we were watching lead card, and then we don't know how much of what was going on they showed us.
And my thing is, I don't looking at it. If looking at it from the angle I looked at it, if somebody told me you have to make a call, I probably would have called it out, because I just can't. I can see that the disc is laying mostly, the edge is laying mostly on the painted line, and I can't tell if on the other side. So I would probably have to say it's out. But I think the biggest thing is, I don't know. It's a weird one with the self-officiating, because she made a case for it, and the players around her pretty quickly shut it down. And I would just be curious to know, I just can't really get in on this because I couldn't see the disc. Was the case that she was making for it being in, did she see grass? And if I had looked at it, could I see, there was a reason? Or was it... Because it could also be, and I don't want to, this is all speculation, but it also could be a case where she was desperately trying to get a call, brought something up on a whim, you see that blade of grass, and all 3 of the people were like, no, come on now, that's out. That absolutely could be the case.
It seemed like a lot more conversation than that. From what I remember, they showed us at least a minute of back and forth.
To me, it just seemed
which was pretty
regardless
long.
of the back and forth, it just seemed like the players that were calling it out were sure that it was out. They didn't seem like... I don't know, because if there's uncertainty, you feel like that's when you get an official involved.
Terry Miller seemed like he was very unsure which way.
Yeah, well,
and he was right on top of it.
Well, he was standing 5-6 feet. That's what I'm saying.
But he got right up on it when
did?
Because
Okay.
he immediately was like, I don't know, that's gonna be very close to call. And then they cut away, and they came back when the whole group was there, and he was holding his mic and looking, and then. Yeah. To me, because if I'm in the opposite boat, if I, from the angle we had, was forced to call it one way or another, I would have called it in, because there wasn't enough convincing evidence to prove otherwise.
Well, you could say
you couldn't prove it either way.
Okay,
if I can't prove it either way, the rules go, if it's very uncertain, right, then I would have said I'll leave it to the card mates, and everyone should have, and then it would have been benefit to the player at that point. Because there's not 100%.
If the card mates are uncertain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me being uncertain doesn't mean benefit to the player.
That's why.
But to me, it wasn't clear enough that I could have made a call.
That's what I'm saying. So I said if I had to make a call, I get that line of thinking, I guess. And like I said, I have
because
no
if it's
idea.
not clear enough for me to make a call, then it should have been. I would have just been like, I don't know, I can't make a call. And if everyone said that, it's inbounds.
I would just be. That's why I'd want to know what it looked like, because you would think if there wasn't something, they must have seen white on the other side of the disc, white paint.
But that's what also
for them
sucks.
all to be Which I know and understand that is still ridiculous that like blades of grass.
I was gonna say because we just bend it,
getting bent in a certain direction. Like it is still that is the root of this thing is like if you had a line of string, this would have been a much easier call.
Oh yeah,
the paint thing stinks, but like I don't know. The fact that they were all willing to make the call, I don't know.
It even could have been one person might have said I don't know. She obviously would have said for it. So then if the other two are like against it, that's all it takes.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it back.
Like if the one
I
person
saw multiple players be like, yeah, it's out, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, it had to be the majority for it to move on. I definitely would have liked. You're on 18. Tournament director's got to be close, or at least a marshal. I would have at least liked an official to come over, only because like we're talking the difference in this case. At that time, it seemed like the difference between second and third.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know Haley King was going to bogey hole 18. I think this was going down while they. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was going down, but it didn't feel like it was make or break for her in the playoff at that exact moment.
No.
But I still would have liked it to have an official. But looking back, this was the difference between her being in this aggregate playoff with Missy and Haley and her not. And like you really would have liked it an official to have made that call for that reason alone. Is like at least then you know there is no bias because like there is a difference. You don't know for 100% certainty what went on the rest of the round, as if like because there could have been the opposite way where it could have been a pretty clearly out, but everyone's best friends and they're like, oh, we'll give it to you, it's in, which is also wrong.
Even if you have an official, there still can be bias, but at least when it's an official, it's a lot less messy because you can look to the official instead of having like the environment of the self-officiating is always going to be weird, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot of times you're going to fight this conviction to make a call on somebody with the fact that you're friends with them. And then like, what if I make this call, the problem is I know these other two girls aren't going to really be fair about it because they don't like there is a lot of dynamics going on. So the official, regardless if that official is the biggest Emily Weatherman fan ever and he is going to show bias, at least at that point,
it's on someone
nobody
else.
really knows about that, and it's on somebody else. Like it gets it out of the playing field and takes that responsibility off of them. Because and here I am, I'm touching the table again. You guys got to do better at that.
I warned you. That's all I could do.
Trevor, you got to remind me. It's a habit.
No.
Yeah, come on now.
Can we make the table shock?
Habits.
No, make the table sticky. So if his hands go down, it's just
They
super
stay
glue.
down.
And he
Habits. You guys ever read Atomic Habits? You can't destroy them with one warning. You've got to beat me.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it says in the book.
I don't remember that part.
That's what it says in the book. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing.
I mean, if Trevor touches the table and I just deck him,
no, I deserve it. I think you should.
Smack him.
I think there should be pain associated. I believe in that. I think you can get all.
Can we give Connor an airsoft gun?
Yeah.
You touch it,
shoot me right in the
We
leg.
sure
just kneecap
can.
me. You can say what you want about the OB call though the whole time, but at the end of the day, she did throw a bad shot.
Yes,
it was very bad. Sawed off. Skipped up the hill. So when you're a player, and I would hope that Emily, is a player that would look back at that and be like, you know what, tough break. But at the end of the day, you got to put the disc in the fairway.
Yeah, if the disc is 2 inches closer to the fairway, it doesn't even matter.
I mean, when you put it on the line like that.
Also, still a big moment for her career because still top 3 at a Pro Tour event.
Great finish.
So realistically, she might have made the aggregate playoff and finished in the exact same spot she was in.
It's true.
Could have happened. So.
True.